Hey, what's up everyone? Pastor JAMZ here back with another review, and today we got the latest album by Vince Staples, Dark Times. And might I say, it is dark times for Vince. I'll get to that in a minute, but Vince Staples, 30-year-old singer-songwriter and actor, he just came out with a new Netflix series that came out this year and just got renewed for a second season. I hear it's pretty good. I hear it's pretty similar to Atlanta, the series by Donald Glover, also known as Charles Gambino. But I need to check it out. It looks pretty interesting. I saw a little clip of it. Pretty cool. But kudos to him. Hey, he's making big moves. And like I said, he's only 30 years old. Quite amazing for him moving forward, considering that this is his sixth full length studio album. He's from Long Beach, California. Vincent Jamal Staples. Let's get right into this new album that just released this past Friday on May 24th. 13 tracks and 35 minutes. This is, like I mentioned, his sixth full length studio album and final with Def Jam Records. He's been with Def Jam for over 10 years at this point, and it's quite amazing to see how much he's progressed, honestly. I will go on record to say that Vince Staples is a very underrated rapper and artist to this very day, considering how long he's been in the game already with people such as Tyler the Creator, Earl Sweatshirt, and even dabbled with Schoolboy Q, and he has even worked with artists like Billie Eilish and other artists as well, even including TDE members and even the TDE Black Panther album, stuff like that. He's certainly been around with his fair share of artists and his versatility, even working with the bands like the Gorillas. And I've always seen Vince as the underdog. I wouldn't call myself the biggest Vince Staples fan, but I always am pleased when I do see that maybe he featured on something or coming out with a new album. I, however, did kind of oversee his last release in 2022. Before this, but in 2021, his self-titled album, Vince Staples, was it made it to my top of the end of the year list in terms of albums. I believe I gave it an 8, and I thought it was amazing. However, I do need to return to that release in 2022 after hearing this, especially. But Dark Times certainly looks like it for Vince, considering, and it's kind of strange considering that he is now moving forward with his career, doing new projects, like I said, with that Netflix show that he mentions in this album, actually. However, I do see it is kind of a continuation of his 2021 release, where it's mostly a reflection of sorts. I'm not really sure if I like it as much as the 2021 release, but I do have to say that some of his best work is on this thing, like tracks Black and Blue and Government Cheese. And I'll even say Shame on the Devil, Etouffee, and Radio. Those are essentially, that's what it cracks down to. Those are the core tracks on this thing. There are other tracks on here that are good, but I do have to say that what kind of where Vince does shoot himself in the foot in this album is how short it is, but how compact it is. And it's not compact in a good way. It's very messy. It's very muddled. The best way I could describe it, and I'll get probably my gripes with this album right out of the way, so we could get to the good parts. 13 tracks, 35 minutes, but with like three interludes in a way. The first track is an intro track. Track number 7, Liars. Although it goes well with the next song, Justin, it is also a short, like 1 minute interlude type thing. And then the last track, track number 13, Why Won't the Sun Come Out? It's just like a monologue type track of a woman talking about her dreams and creativity and how people need to move forward and stuff like that. Like although I do appreciate these tracks, I mean, you can easily skip over them, and I don't. I if it goes well with the whole overall theme and message of the album, I'll give it props, and it does. The last track, this woman is she recognizes death, and yet when there's death there is also a rebirth, and there is birth to new life and new ideas. That is essentially how he is perceiving perhaps his career and relationships that he has with women and his experiences and stuff like that, as I'll get to more later as I kind of get into what my greatest points are in this album. And another thing, the reason I talk about how it's messy, the album is structured not that well, and I do understand it might play with the overall theme and message of the album. You know, you have tracks on here that are 2 minutes, 2 minutes 30 seconds long, like the track number 4, Children's Song. It's 2 minutes long, and I myself found I found myself confused a bit. Like, whoa, like is this another interlude? Is this like a little prelude type thing? Is it leading up? Is it a skit? Is it leading up to something or what? You know, I found myself being confused in a way in some of these tracks that are much shorter, considering that there are also tracks on here that are longer. Like Etouffee is the longest track on here. I believe it's almost touching 5 minutes, probably 4.5 minutes. And you also have Shame on the Devil that's like 3.5. You have full length tracks on here, but then you have like these little curveballs, like like these 2 minute tracks, 2.5 minute tracks, where you don't really, you're kind of lost. However, that's pretty much my gripes and negatives. The little, not trying to be nitpicky with this album, but that's pretty much all I have to say. There's not really a bad track on here. And for what it is, it's quite amazing what Vince Staples has done in terms of production and his writing as well. In terms of production, I would have to say the whole album is structured very ambient, touches and elements of lo-fi. Don't take that with a grain of salt. It's not like the most lo-fi aesthetic album out there, but there are certainly elements with like these muffled backgrounds and in terms of production, these very soft ambient piano keys, and there are also elements of like glitch rap and also elements of like pop rap, but it's not like a dream pop sound. It's not like the most outlandish, extravagant, like sounding, like album out there. I'm talking more like chill, laid back sound, and I do appreciate that. I love that sound in terms of rap, and I have noticed that considering his last project in 2021, kind of continuing that vibe, but it goes with what he has to say in the album, like in the track Freeman, you know, talking about like he's finally free. Like he is no longer with Def Jam. He's doing his Netflix show. He's kind of inspiring people. As well, even the track before that, track 11, Little Homies. Hey, go do your thing. Go do what you want to do. You're an artist. You're amazing. You have an idea. You're inspired. Go do it. He found himself like now he doesn't want to be tied down and told what to do. Like in the track, he is talking about not necessarily like, oh, he hates his label, but there are label issues like in the track 6, which is probably the most jumpy and more I guess mainstream I produced track on here, Etouffee. And it, like I said, also the longest, where he talks about reflection on his career and his label, how they pushed like, oh, we want the old Vince back. The fans want the old Vince back. And the label was also doubling down on that, which, I hate hearing that. Shame on labels for doing that to their artists. You know what an artist does? They make art. Let them do their thing. Creativity, either it comes to you or it doesn't. Either you have it or you don't. Let you sign them. Let them do their thing. Don't tell an artist what they can and what they can't do. So I applaud Vince. I back him up 100%. I applaud Vince Staples for saying like how it is. You know what I mean? It is how it is. Labels want to make their money. Well, hey, too bad. Should have thought about that when you signed them. But hey, he's standing his ground. Kudos to him. And I do have to say, track number 2 is probably the best track on here, Black and Blue, where he sampled "Weak for Your Love" by the Sacred Souls. I thought that was freaking awesome. I thought man, that is awesome. But Government Cheese is amazing as well. You also have like these drony synthesizer keys that are played in some of these tracks. It's amazing, very beautiful. And track number 9, Radio, also one of my favorites. And then you have Nothing Matters featuring Maddie Davis, which is a hidden feature almost, if you want to call it that. She just has the third to and the last verse. But I mean, for the most part, you also have tracks on here that he reflects on his relationship with women or past relationships. It starts at track number 7, Liars, which is more of like an interlude type thing, but it goes well where he puts this like, I don't like a speech or monologue by this woman talking to her husband of I suppose, about like, hey, like, show me the real you, like if you want to hurt me, hurt me. And I thought that was like crazy, if you're gonna lie to me, like this isn't gonna work. Like, show me who you are. And I thought that was wild, considering that track number 8, Justin, where he kind of meets this girl at a bar, they go back to her place, and her boyfriend comes home, and she introduces Vince as, oh, it's my meet my younger cousin Justin. And it's kind of like shady stuff that he has experienced in his life, but not necessarily saying that, oh, like he despises women or hates them or whatever, or has any grudge towards these people. And track number 10, Nothing Matters, as well, also discussing things of that nature. Look, dark times, I do see where Vince is going with this album, but I do have to say that it does feel at times like a breath of fresh air. However, with these very muddled like configuration of the tracks, and how not very, how can I say, consistent the tracks are in terms of like that breath of fresh air, it feels like you're drowning, and then you come back up for a breath of fresh air, and then you're drowning again, so it's like you're kind of fighting back and forth with this album in terms of like the grasp of it, if that makes sense. And that's how I found myself. But don't let this frighten you, especially for newcomers, or if you haven't heard his music before. I still think this is a very solid album. 7 out of 10. I back up Vince 100%. I am very pleased with this album. However, I just think that for what it is, you are listening, and you have this conflict with it, and I think it goes well with the overall message that he is still having these issues with his personal life, and now his career, what he wants to do next, and stuff like that. I wish him the best. 7 out of 10. Vince Staples, Dark Times. Link in the description below if you want to check it out. Hopefully, y'all looking forward to the next video. Pass the jams out.